That seems funny looking at it in 2017, right? According to Edison, we'll have television replacing textbooks in 1935. Okay, it seems funny to us now, but imagine if you are an ordinary Joe listening to Edison talk. You might believe him because hey, he's smart, he's successful, he invented a lot of things. Okay? But if you are a bit of a cynical Joe, you might also notice that Edison made his money from electricity and telecommunications, which include radio and television. Okay? Now, Edison is a successful man, yes, good inventor, accomplished, but he's not an educationist, nor was he trained as an educator. But you'll find that he's not the last business person to talk about education. Okay. As we continue, we can see more and more about how technology color the discourse when it comes to education. Okay, that's Kopi Keluang or Kopi Chap television. Alright, those from Johor probably know this coffee, it's quite good. Alright, it was founded in 1965, about 40 years after Edison said that. Okay, when I asked the current owner why Chap television, why not something else, he said when his grandfather founded it, television was the most amazing thing. So to put a seed of wow on the product is Chap television. Yeah, we find it funny. But that's the thing about technology, isn't it? It always captures our imagination. It amazes us, it fascinates us. Alright, when it comes to technology, everybody is excited. Everybody goes wow. Sometimes it seems like people stop thinking just to appreciate technology. Okay? And these days, technology is even more amazing than television. And this is what Eric Schmidt said from Google. If we can get it right, we can get this web right, or this technology right, we'll fix all the world's problems. Okay. Not one, not two, not some. All the world's problems. And he is somebody, right? He's again a successful man, businessman, etc., etc. Now, if you are a cynical guy, again, you might say something like, oh, the right way could be Google's way. And Google is already a dominant player on the web. Or you could point out that Eric Schmidt is already worth 11 billion. Of course, he wants something more for his company. Okay, but those are little details that shouldn't stand in the way of fixing the world problem. Okay, I would like to talk about a concept called solutionism. Alright, this is introduced by Morozov in 2013. He defines it as looking at all problems as solvable if only there's a right algorithm for it. Okay? And he put the blame on both the tech industry and the tech media for creating a hyperbolic view of technology. Why the hyperbolic view? Why do they need people to get excited about technology? So that you, consumers and policymakers and academicians would spend on technology and more. That's all. Okay, so according to Morozov, the tech media is complicit. Alright. The economists Gilles Paquet give a better definition, I think. Solutionism interprets issues as puzzles to which there is a solution, rather than problems to which there may be a response. Alright? Don't get me wrong, some puzzles need to be solved. the puzzles of controlling traffic in a big city, the puzzles of creating an efficient road for garbage collection. Those are puzzles that need to be solved, right? But do we really believe that human problems are merely puzzles? Can we say that? Probably not. Alright? Now I'm going to try to illustrate solutionism with a simple example. If you have a weight problem, or you want to manage your weight, or you want to manage your health, this is what we get from the tech industry. Okay, we get health trackers. You probably see them, you wear them on your wrist. You get activity trackers, you get apps on your mobile phones to help you manage your health. Alright? And these are the offerings from the tech industry. Now, the traditional method of doing it would be what? Staying hypocaloric, means calorie in, calorie out. Okay? You watch what you eat. You try to stay healthy. And as we have known for the past 1,500 years, makan bila lapar, berhenti sebelum kenyang. These are common techniques. You do not need technology to do it. Right? You do not need to buy gadgets to do it, but you will need a bit of self-discipline, dedication, and hard work. It's not glamorous though. Right? Now, if you can combine the two while doing this dieting and exercising, and combine the digital tracking and all that, that's good. Right? Solutionism happens when people say you do not need anything else but to track your activities. If you keep it optimized, you can do whatever you want, you will be healthy. Okay, that's an example of solutionism. It's a simple example, but it illustrates where we are going with our mentality when it comes to technology and all that. Okay, closely related to solutionism is something called apocalypse. It is basically the belief that we live in a unique time. Okay, in a unique and revolutionary time, there is no precedence for it. Because there's nothing in history to teach us what we do, there's no point looking at history. Okay, somehow it makes history a bit irrelevant. Okay, how many times have you come across the internet is here? Ni zaman ICT, ni zaman internet, so you have to do something else, or something radical, or something different. While we might be better off trying to draw a response carefully from history and traditions. Okay, so that's apocalypse. What do we get if we combine solutionism and apocalypse? We get statements like that. Okay. That sounds like a good statement, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with wanting to reduce conflict and all that. Okay, that's also arrogance. In one short statement, he disregards the historical background of the conflict, the religious background of the conflict, the social cultural background of the conflict, and the fact that probably some Israelis, some Palestinians have tried to connect before. There have been these groups between the two camps before. Alright? But here is Mark Zuckerberg saying that if only they connect more, they share more. Take a guess where Mark Zuckerberg would like them to be connected. Facebook. It's all about dominating the market more and more. And they use this kind of words, they use this kind of language to project a sense of goodwill. But it's all about money. Okay? Okay, this is by David Edgerton. his book, The Shock of the Old, is a very good read. You should try that. Okay, we sometimes treat technology as if there has never been a precedence before. Okay. Now, are solutionists ignorant of history? Perhaps, but most likely they do not want to deal with history at all. Why would anyone do that? They would disregard, they put aside history. Why? Now, if I could simplify your complex problem, I could offer a cutting-edge solution to it. That means I get the chance to make a lot of money from you, right? Okay, it's a sneaker way, but most of the time it works like that. Right. Some of you might argue that the internet is a bit different. There's nothing like the internet before in our history. Okay? Physically, yes, there's never been an internet before, but let's look at it. These are all examples of crowdsourcing. It's something that internet proponents says can only happen through the internet or via the internet. Okay? These are all examples of crowdsourcing, people collaborating together, people putting in ideas together. The magnitude and the order might be different in today's world. If Toyota were to have entries, now they probably get millions instead of 27,000. But the fact is that we humans have been doing the same thing before. Okay. If by now you detect that I'm a bit hostile towards technology and the internet and whatnot, I can assure you it's not hostility, it's more of a critical view. Okay? I work with technology every day. I build and design my own system, I still do my own programming. Okay, I do all these things and I enjoy doing them. Alright? But my first training was as a language teacher. Okay? That's what I like to do actually, teaching. And as a language teacher, I was told that you cannot teach a language, you can only help somebody learn it. That's a big job. It's not an easy thing to do when your students do not want to learn and you are forced to find a way to help them learn it without directly teaching them. Okay? And for that, from my experience as a language trainee, teacher trainee for example, I learned a few things about technology. Okay, I'm going to share some of it with you. Okay, post World War II, the behaviorist view of learning and language were dominant. And added to the mix is something called ALM, audio-lingual method. It looks like that a bit. I don't know if you can see that. But the takeaway from this period of time is that I think some of you still remember language labs. Anybody remember that? Where you go to the lab, you listen to something and then repeat it. Okay? That's audio-lingual method. Alright? And at this time, when I look at it as a young man, I was like, wow, this is perfect. There's no ambiguity. Basically, a behaviorist says people learn by repeating things. A structuralist view language as a system of structures. You master the structure, you learn the language. So, audio-lingual method combines the two. As a teacher, I need a method, what to do in classroom. So the perfect method to me was at the time, audio-lingual method. There's no guesswork there. There's no ambiguity. I go in with a theory of learning and a theory of language in my hand, and a method to carry out that theory. Right? This thing was popular in 1945-1965 period. And at that time, there are many research articles published on the effectiveness of this method. Okay. So what went wrong? Let me move forward. Okay. One of the big proponents of behaviorism, in fact the father of neo-behaviorism is Skinner, the guy in the middle there. I don't know if you can see the pictures clearly, but those are examples of his teaching machines. One with a video, one without. Okay. Skinner wrote a book called Verbal Behavior, which posits that human language is basically a set of behaviors. Okay. That is a very influential book. And he created the idea of program learning or program instruction. Basically, some of the characteristics that you see of a teaching machine, that includes program learning. Content is broken down into small parts, small graded parts, so that you can follow the content one by one. Alright? If those things sound familiar, it's because they are still used by courseware these days. So program learning still survives today, and it's not a bad idea. It's good for teaching certain skills. It's good, for example, for training people in doing basic stuff. Skinner also believed that one day teaching machines will replace teachers. Okay, not a bad thing to believe if you like doing things repetitively. Okay, and what else did he say? There are more people in the world than ever before, and the far greater part of them want an education. The demand cannot be met simply by building more schools and training more teachers. That's harmless, right? Education must become more efficient. To this end, curricula must be revised and simplified, and textbooks and classrooms as classroom techniques improve. Can anybody detect any problem with that? Nothing. What he said makes sense. Right? I mean, who can be against efficiency? But keep that sentence in mind. Education must become more efficient. Okay? Now, this is what I got from Popular Mechanics 1961. I don't know if you can see it. It basically says, will robots teach your children? I can see it. Okay, educators themselves are taking a good second look at program learning. Surprisingly, they predict a revolution in mass education. The word there that you have to keep in mind is revolution and mass education. Okay, that was in 1961. Will robots teach your children? In 2016, we are still obsessed about robots teaching our children. And somehow the same, about similar words were used. In fact, one of them is, the robot is called Neo and promises to revolutionize the way students learn. Okay, I threw a challenge to my master's student last semester. Find out if the way we learn today, cognitively, different from 10 years ago, different from 20 years ago, different from 100 years ago, different from 2,000 years ago. Give me a reason, give me an argument that says it's the same or different. Nobody took up the challenge. Right? But as you can see, we, the layperson, are excited about certain things, technology being one, and in this case, robots. Okay, so what happened to Skinner's verbal behavior? Why did he die? This man happened. That's Noam Chomsky in his younger days. Alright? He published a critical review of Skinner's verbal behavior. Verbal behavior's problem is that it tries to fit something as complex as language into a paradigm that is easily understandable. Language is being made is remade into a set of structures, whereas it is actually very complex. Okay? Ask yourself now, is our education system complex? Or is it simple? I don't know. But that's the answer that you have to keep for yourself for the time being. But what Chomsky did is, he gave us a new understanding of linguistics and language. And he did it on his own. He stood against a trend. Everybody believes that behaviorism and structuralists explain things as they are. It fits with every other perception of the world at that time. Until this man made a stand and published his work. He's from MIT, by the way. But you're going to tell me computers are different. After all, they are not simply teaching machines. Teaching machines work by students sitting there and rolling things, rolling questions, answering them, and all that. Computers are different. Okay, let's go there. The first computer made for education is called Plato. I think in Indiana University, right? Illinois, yeah. Alright. That was in 1960. About the same time frame as the teaching machine, about the same time frame as the rise of behaviorism and all that. Okay? Now, you're going to say, oh, tu zaman tu kado, komputer tu, komputer buruk. Fine. What does Plato offer? The things that you think are the features of modern computers or modern internet and all that, Plato is the genesis. It has been there a long time. Okay? Now, what's the impetus? Why the need to create this thing for education? Alright, at the end of World War II, after World War II, there's something called the GI Bill. Basically, it says that all veterans of World War II are allowed free education. Okay, before that, the population in the United States that are in the university is much less than 1%. The veterans made up 9% of the population. So of course, this gives a big headache to the university administrators. We are now trying to cater to more students. Remember Skinner saying that more people want education? Those are the same people. Okay, so what do we do? Why not we learn from the computerization and automation in the industry, in the factory? Why not the schools adapt the same thing? Okay, the impetus is basically a more efficient higher education. Now, is that a bad thing? Ask yourself, is efficiency quality? And I mean real quality, not the kind of quality that is characterized by quantification and standardization that we like so much. Does the analogy of factories giving out products, the same thing we want to apply to our university? Okay. Keep the answer to yourself first. Okay, I took this from United States Department of Education, 2017, reimagining the role of technology in higher education. It seems that we educational technologies are quite good at this. Give us 10 minutes, we'll convince you to reimagine, relook, reinvigorate, read this, read that. By the end of 10 minutes, we'll read you to tears. Okay? We are good at repackaging ideas. Why do I say that? This is what one of the more well-known philosophers of education said in 2008. education is on the brink of being transformed through learning technologies. However, it has been on that brink for some decades now. Come in a new technology, you will have somebody say, oh, we have a new kind of learning. I'm going to publish a paper on something like this. Alright? A year ago, I told my student with the VR technology mainstream, somebody is going to put the word VR learning out there. And yes, somebody did. So every few years, there will be a new term that will transform education as we know it. Okay, when did we in university start doing this? I think the timeline is about early 2000 with the move towards ICT. There's a multimedia super corridor, you can still remember it. The smart school, alright? It didn't involve the universities directly, but we took our marching orders from those times and move forward. So let's look at what kind of language we used at that time. It's not that clear, but basically somebody says e-learning is part of the biggest change in the way our species conducts training since the invention of the chalkboard or perhaps the alphabet. That was important in the year 2000. See, that's a big thing. Biggest change for our species. And then you have the word efficiency and effectiveness. Okay? From the year 2000 as well. And of course, the e-learning revolution, Gallagher 2000. So the word revolution exists there again. That's about early 2000 or year 2000. Okay, I'm sure by now every university has its own e-learning system and whatnot. Okay. This last part I share it with you because it's quite interesting. The author wrote this in 2016, 16 years after the world, after Malaysia has started to go towards e-learning and all that. We move at the same pace of the rest of the world, I think. The first e-learning used in university was 1997, if I'm not mistaken. So we are quite there. Basically, the author said e-learning has failed to create the kind of changes people expect after 16 years. Okay? But he says now, all is not lost. It may be that technology's transformation of higher education lies not in the transformation of teaching and learning. Suddenly, 16 years later, it's not about teaching and learning anymore. Okay? But the advent of a new digital language that connects higher education and the labour market. Okay? The historic disconnect between higher education and the needs of the labour market is a data problem. Okay, what he says is not that bad. He says the universities and the labour market has to be more connected. Okay, but the language he used suggests that we need a new language. We need a new new digital language, and it's a data problem. To solve it, of course, we have to hire us or consult us to create this connection between the labour market and your university. Okay, that kind of make us sound like a bunch of sneaky opportunists. But to tell you the truth, most of us are. Okay? Now, how did we do in Malaysia? In 2010, I was part of a team that came up with rumusan amalan trend dan cabaran pelaksanaan pembelajaran di IPT Malaysia. It's a mouthful, but basically we did a cursory look at how our universities are doing. It's a general look, it's not in depth. Overall, we are doing okay if we take statistics as the measurement. Okay, what we didn't go into, and I had a nagging feeling at that time, was that we still didn't answer this question. How does e-learning figure out in the overall strategy of education in typical IPTA? Most universities say they will have a strategy in place. Okay? Am I out of time? Not yet, right? Okay, thank you. And the feeling that I had at that time in 2010, it was more as asal ada e-learning. It was not part of any strategy to improve anything. Okay. Okay, I'm going to offer another way to look at learning in higher education, especially when it comes to e-learning. Okay, on one side we see what I call logistics of learning. Alright, when you talk about students getting their materials anywhere, anytime, students can leave message for each other at any time of the night, etc., etc. When we talk about lecturers can share materials or students can share materials, we're talking about logistics. We can talk about efficiency, there we can talk about transmission of information. And there is where technology excels. It has been doing that for a long time. Okay? But at one point you need to ask yourself, is the accumulation of ideas and knowledge the objective of our education? Is a learned man, for example, is somebody who knows a lot of facts? Is information equals to instruction? If your answer is no, that means you have to look deeper. Because this is where the actual learning is. Transforming information and ideas into knowledge. Critical analysis and synthesis. We need that for our students. Okay? Can technology do it? Can technology help? I can prove that it helps. I publish on that. Alright? But it's a very small setting. I'm at initial stage of trying to find a method to exploit at institutional level. Okay? Initial stage is code word for I have no idea at all. I'm just thinking about it. Right? But the thing is that I have to be honest with you. If we take out technology from my studies, there will still be learning. Why? Because education is a humanistic endeavor. It involves people. Okay, when the students want to learn, when the teacher knows how to teach, there will be learning. Technology is there sometimes to help, but most of the time, it's not even necessary. Okay, but we need to do the logistics of learning very well, because we hope that by helping students on that side, there will be an engagement, and from that engagement, there's a possibility of learning. Okay? Even in that part, I will argue that most of our universities fail. On the first part, the logistics part, most of our universities fail. Okay. A talk about technology in higher education wouldn't be complete without MOOC, right? So before I start on MOOC, I'm going to share this quote. Dorish is a computer scientist, Main Warren is an anthropologist, if I'm mistaken. Okay? And they come up with a good book about technology and humanism. Sometimes we obsess about what we can do tomorrow. We never stop to ask about our responsibility for what we did today. Okay? Now, before I go to MOOC specifically, I work in the computer industry. I sold software and all that before, and sometimes this is what I notice. Okay, this is how I want to make money. Basically, my business model. Right? If I go to people like this, they're not going to like me. They're going to allow me right out the door. All right? Nobody wants to listen to my money-making model. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to sugarcoat sugarcoat it with nice words like open, game-changing, advanced, or liberalization. All those words that make people believe something is good. Something good is there. Alright? And Malaysians mostly, policymakers, academicians, the consumers, they love to take a bite out of this. They get excited. And when they beat it, they found it too late. Later on, somehow they're going to have to pay. There's no such thing as free lunch. Let's take open source software, for example. Yes, you can download it for free, you can use it for free. But the moment you want to use it, you have to spend some time learning how to use it. There's already a cost. It's not totally free. Yes, our university can run things on open source. If we have people to do it, those people we need to hire. If they don't have the skills, we have to train them. No such thing as a free thing. Okay, but somehow this point is always lost on policymakers. I don't know why. Alright, let's look at MOOC. 2012 is the year of the MOOC, says New York Times. Revolution hits the universities. Revolution again, right? Thomas Friedman, New York Times. Ivy League for the masses. Now, I've never been to an Ivy League university. I've never been trained by the US system. But I know Ivy League is something big, right? Certain universities only. So imagine that, Ivy League for the masses, for all of you. Time magazine. Alright, that's 2012, early 2012. There's a tsunami coming. Okay, you can disregard the first two and the last one because they are popular media. What do they know? Right? John Hennessy is a computer scientist from Stanford. He must know something. Alright. John Hennessy is a respected computer scientist, true. Is he an educationist? No. I respect him, I read a lot of his work. But does he know anything about education itself as a science and an art? No. He is a good educator though. Right? He says there's a tsunami coming. Okay, I don't have much experience with tsunami, but I assume they are big. Right? Right, what happened then? Remember, this is 2012. This is 2014. Okay, this is Jeff Gordon writing in Wired. But then, almost as quickly as they took the world by storm, they disappeared. Long gone from the pages of the Post and good luck finding any mention of a MOOC in an education journal or website today. 2012, 2013, this is 2014. Try to remember again when Malaysian universities started getting excited about MOOC. (2014, 2015), when the idea is already dead somewhere else. Okay, this is 2012. Mike Caulfield, a well-known name in open educational resources, wrote at the end of 2012 in a sarcastic article, "We now understand the end game here. We now get the business model. The idea is not send your students to us. The idea is to become yet another online vendor of services to higher education." He's talking about Coursera, one of the biggest providers for MOOC. Okay? That's 2012. And Coursera started to change its business model. Alright? Is it a surprise? No. All MOOC providers are backed by venture capitalists. They want to make money at some point. Alright? If we wanted to do MOOC, we could have done it on our own terms for our own specific objectives without being tied to anybody. But we did not. We just follow the trend. The trend is already dead in 2012 or 2013 or 2014. But we still follow it. Okay. You know who this guy is? Who this guy is? Yes. Yeah, William mentioned it before, right? Mentioned him. Clayton Christensen. gave us the term disruptive innovation. It's so often applied to MOOC, but he made his name in the computer industry where he came up with the book Innovator's Dilemma. Alright, that's a very well-received book, especially in the tech industry. Okay? What is he? He's a business consultant. After writing that book, of course, to prove his mettle, he had to go into education and healthcare. Everybody who wants to prove he's somebody will have to go to education or healthcare in the United States. Right? And he wrote a book called Disrupting Class. That's 2008. And his book is the one quoted by a lot of people to support MOOC, for example. In 2013, 5 years later, when MOOC is starting to die, he gave us something called hybrid innovation. That's a big word, right? If you can read it there, he has his own website. Okay, hybrid innovation, what does it mean? What does it say? Basically the same blended learning we've been doing for the past 15 years. Somebody asked me at the end of 2014, I shared the answer with Dr. Rashidam once. Somebody asked me, what do I think of MOOC? I said, it's a scam. Now you see why. The thing that we've been doing for the past 15 years, somebody has to repackage it. Say we are good at it, right? Repackage it in certain terms and sell it. Somebody gets excited. Some poor fool will spend his money on that. Okay? And I have seen a lot of people above my pay grade throw around the term disruptive innovation without actually knowing what it is or without even having read the book. Okay, I read the book Disrupting Class. It's a fine book if you believe that education is business. Right? He did the same thing that Skinner tried to do. He takes something complex and simplify it. Okay, if I ask you now, what's the point of a business? Most of you will say for profit. That's the end game for a business. What's the point of our education? Some will say knowledge, some will say for the labor market, blah blah blah. You have different answers. Because education is a complex thing. It's not the same as business. But Christensen tried to adapt a business solution to education. Right? And I see this term being used by a lot of people. And imagine my horror when I see another term being used by a lot of people. Initially, I didn't want to address fourth industrial revolution directly because I think I'm not an economist, it's beyond me. Right? But I needed to read the book to prepare for this event, so I read the book. It's not a good book. In fact, it's an awful book. It's vague on a lot of things. Okay, in marketing sense, if I were to make it so, I'll be vague on a lot of things also. Why? Because the communists will believe me, the socialists can use money, the middle wingers will, the right wingers can use it, the middle can use it. It applies to everybody. I do not have to make a stand, but I can sell my book, or I can sell my idea. And soon enough people will be talking about it from one end to the next. Okay? My main problem with that is that not only is not well written, but is there really a revolution? Going through my slides, you probably know that I'm tired of the word revolution now. Right? Okay, a lot of economics historians do not believe that there is more than 2 or 3 revolutions. They only agreed on one revolution, one industrial revolution. Okay? And I will take these economic historians over the Davos gang any time of the day, because they are real scholars doing real work. Okay? Or is it an extension of advances we already made in ICT? Remember, things like AI is not something new. It's been there for a long time. And my biggest problem is that, do we uncritically accept every buzzword as if we need to deal with it seriously? Remember, this is just one idea from a group of economists from the Davos group, World Economic Forum. Alright? Ideas, not facts. Simple proposal. If you were to evaluate a PhD proposal, for example, you will demand some accountability, you will demand some evidence. Some of the evidence are there, but it's still based on the ideas. Alright? So I don't know whether that's a politic thing to say. It's hogwash. Okay? And do you know how long this fourth industrial revolution been around? The word? Anybody guess? Somebody want to try? It's older than most of us here. It has been there for 75 years. In 1940, Albert Carr published something called Last Chance. Last chance to do what? For America to change, to adapt, or we have this fourth revolution that is coming, gonna kill us, gonna destroy our democratic way of life. 1940. And with everything new, the atomic energy, electronics, computers, blah blah blah, somebody will predict the fourth industrial revolution. The last one I think is 1984. Still have the name somewhere here. Got it? What Rostov? Computer scientist actually. The beginning of our information age is the fourth industrial revolution. So must we play the game of being excited by something new every time? Or do we have real challenges, real problems we need to solve in our universities? If we do, let's focus on that. Okay, that's done. Let me get back to MOOC, or the e-learning part, which is more my area of specialty. Okay, some people might say that the Gen Z are so different. You know, the younger people and all that. Are we different generations? Okay, right. The Gen Z are so different. They learn differently, blah blah blah. Okay. First of all serious literature reviews of the subject reveal that there is no generational gap when it comes to learning. No. When there is a gap, available resources in the university and intervention by the teachers are enough to overcome that. Does that mean they do things differently? Yes, they do things differently, as I do things differently from my parents. But they do not learn differently. Okay? I'm going to share with you my study on Malaysian students. 16,000 respondents. 8,000 of them chose to write something, which means about 8,000 pieces of qualitative data to go through. If you've done qualitative study before, you probably know it's painful. Okay? It was done in 2015. Alright? And this is what I found. They still value face-to-face time with their lecturers. And you know what? They are correct. Data for the past 50 years on the intellectual success for university students basically point to the time spent with lecturers, face-to-face and interacting. That's the main criteria for success. The second one is creative activities. Okay, 50 years of data doesn't mention anything about technology at all. So our students know what's best for them. We keep pushing technology to them. They use technology mostly for reasons associated with younger people, socializing, entertainment, and informal learning, which is expected. Okay, they have low regard for the university's LMS. Slow, inefficient, largely irrelevant to them. Exception to this subject from UKM. Okay, this is part where marketing comes in. The exception surprised me even. The reason why is that at UKM we already deal with this problem of engagement. We try to create something that fits with what they want. UKM LMS, if you notice, if you've seen it, it's a very simple thing. It has not many features. It doesn't look like a Moodle and all that. Does it have? No, it doesn't. What it does is simply try to get lecturers to connect to students. It doesn't do anything else. Okay, so students from UKM actually said they're happy with it. They just want more technology. Okay, the students from other universities, they have a lot of problems. These are what they reported. Okay, I think that's the last slide. Okay, thank you.